Yesterday marked 1,000 days since Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. Citizens in Kyiv and elsewhere commemorated the day with spontaneous memorials. And to mark the occasion, President Zelensky spoke to the European Parliament and had this to say.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, our friends of Ukraine, I thank you for supporting Ukraine. Thank you, Roberta, for calling this extraordinary session of the European Parliament to mark 1,000 days of full-scale war. Thank you for ensuring that not a single one of the 1,000 days of this terrible war became a day of betrayal of our shared European values. Together, Ukraine, all of Europe and our partners in America and around the world, we have succeeded not only in preventing Putin from taking Ukraine, but also in defending the freedom of all European nations.
As we know, the situation has been escalating, and it became so dire for Russia after losing 10,000 troops in the first week of November that the country brokered a deal with Kim Jong-un to supplement its losses, and 10,000 North Korean troops were sent into Kursk to assist the beleaguered Russian army. Zelensky has long been pressing Washington, D.C. To allow for the use of missiles to fight back against Russia. And on November 18th, Biden delivered on Zelensky's plea. Let's look at this clip.
NBC News has confirmed President Biden will now allow Ukraine to strike inside Russia with long-range missiles. This marks a significant policy shift, and it comes after Biden officials condemned the North Korean deployment of troops to Russia as a possible expansion of the war.
Again, Ukraine has long asked for the ability to use these long-range American missiles, also known as ATACMS. I just wish it hadn't taken President Biden so long to make this authorization. These long-range missiles could help Ukraine strike military targets within Russia because they have a range of 300 kilometers. Moscow has described the use of these missiles and the change in policy as an escalation, making NATO and Washington, D.C. a direct combatant in the war and therefore subject to Russia's retaliation.
However, U.S. officials have reportedly said ATACMS can only be used to hit Russia's Kursk region, where Ukraine wants to hold on to the 1,000 square kilometres it captured in August, and where North Korean troops are now thought to be supporting Russia.
It doesn't give us the permissions to do everything that we wanted, but it will give us another fighting chance in protecting ourselves.
That Russian land is likely an important bargaining chip ahead of what even Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky suggests could be a negotiated settlement under a Trump administration. Vladimir Putin has previously said ATACMS hitting Russia would amount to NATO's direct involvement in the war.
In the immediate aftermath of these missiles being fired, Putin signed a new nuclear doctrine as an apparent warning to NATO and the United States. This new doctrine lowers the threshold for the use of nuclear weapons. For example, let's look at the 2020 versus the 2024 nuclear doctrines. In 2020, an existential threat to Russia was necessary to trigger the use of nuclear weapons. And now there only needs to be a critical threat to sovereignty, which is a much vaguer standard. Also, the 2024 doctrine allows Russia to justify nuclear response to conventional weapons, which also now includes attacks on Belarus, Russia's close ally, as nuclear triggers. Key changes include the following: treating non-nuclear attacks backed by nuclear states like U.S.-supplied weapons as nuclear threats, specifically targeting Western military aid to Ukraine, removing previous safeguards that limited nuclear response, and creating deliberate ambiguity about what could trigger a nuclear response from Russia. President Biden has been working to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs during the transition through 2025 in order to so-called Trump-proof U.S. security aid to Ukraine. Unfortunately, Donald has his own plan. Play the clip.
I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It will be settled quickly. I will get the problem solved, and I will get it solved in rapid order, and it will take me no longer than one day. I know exactly what to say to each of them. I got along very well with them.
Okay, it's been 9 years of this bullshit, and it never ceases to amaze me that nobody ever asks this idiot the question, how? How exactly are you going to do that? Because the truth of the matter is, Donald doesn't have a plan at all, and he will likely do whatever Putin wants him to do. This is where things stand. A fifth of Ukrainian territory is now in Moscow's hands, and Ukraine, its citizens and troops are exhausted after almost 3 years of nonstop Russian assaults. Kyiv is continually besieged by airstrikes. There are serious and reasonable doubts about the future of Western support with Donald at the head of the United States government. In light of the recent escalation of this war, Zelensky is shifting his focus to find a diplomatic solution to the conflict, which he hopes will end in 2025. This is what he had to say.
I believe that the war will end, and it will not end in the abstract, but there's no exact date. However, the war will end faster with the policy of the team that will now lead the White House.
Right. And I think I couldn't really hear at the end, but the last sentence that I read, he said, was that, and it's up to Ukraine to make sure that this war ends in the next year, and with, a politically negotiated ending, something to that effect. Mm-hmm. And so I think that Zelensky and the Ukrainians in general are just, they're the ultimate in realists. If you are a country that is, weaker, you have to figure out how you are going to make it. And in Ukraine's case, this is about survival. So I think he understands that Ukraine is, at risk of being a pawn in this. And his statement to me is absolutely about making sure that President Trump knows that he is going to be part of the solution and not the problem.
In the last 1,000 days, the Ukrainian population has fallen by 25%. 4 million Ukrainians have been internally displaced, and over 6 million are now living as refugees. Zelensky wants this to end, but unfortunately for him and all of us, it's up to Donald to fulfill his promises to help end this war and for Putin to follow suit. Listen, what Ukraine has done since Russia violated international law and illegally invaded their country is nothing short of astonishing. And they've done it despite the fact that they've not received all of the assistance it deserved from us, whether because of Republican obstruction or because of the short-sightedness of the Biden administration. What Zelensky's comments tell me, though, is that he is a realist who knows that the future occupant of the White House is not Ukraine's ally. And the goal now is to limit the amount of damage Donald and Putin can and will do. It's going to get so much worse under the Trump administration. So we must continue in the meantime to support Ukraine in every way and in whatever way we can. Hey, everybody. In case you weren't aware, I am spectacularly bad at self-promotion. So here goes. Please subscribe to our channel and like and share our videos. Your support means so much to all of us. Thank you.